After we had been together for 7 years, I happened to find a post my girlfriend, Claire, had written on Reddit. In the post, she was asking other users for the best way to break up with me without causing any drama or getting any negative feedback. I was standing outside in the falling snow at that moment, just looking up at the light in her apartment window, and I decided to call her. When she answered, her voice sounded annoyed. "I'm in a meeting. I already told you that." Before she could say more, I interrupted her, trying to keep my own voice steady. "Claire, let's break up." I first saw the post right after my plane landed. I had just traveled all the way from New York to Vancouver. It was the middle of the Chinese New Year travel season, which meant there were no direct flights available, so I had to take a route that transferred through Hong Kong. The whole trip took 29 hours from start to finish. I only made the journey because Claire had been complaining on the phone just the day before. She told me she had a high fever, but was still forced to work on a presentation, and she didn't have any time to rest for the holiday. I could hear her coughing very badly over the phone, and it made me feel extremely worried about her. Because I was so concerned, I went online and booked the first available flight to go and see her. The taxi ride from the Vancouver airport to Claire's apartment building took about an hour. For that entire hour, I just sat in the back seat and read her post again and again. I kept looking for any sign that she was hesitant, or that she still had feelings for me. But I couldn't find anything like that. Instead, she described our entire relationship as a series of calculations. She wrote that she needed my financial help and the professional connections I had, which was the main reason she started dating me in the first place. Now that she was more established in her career, she had met someone new, a guy who apparently came from a wealthy family, and she wanted to move on with her life. She even wrote that thinking about how she had settled for a guy like me for the past 7 years made her feel like she had been treated unfairly. However, she also said that for the sake of her career and money, she didn't regret her choices. Her only remaining problem, as she put it, was figuring out how to end things with me in a peaceful way so that I wouldn't try to get back at her. My hand was trembling as I held the phone. I imagine my face must have looked terrible too, because when I finally got out of the taxi, the driver asked me if I was feeling sick and if I needed him to take me to a hospital instead. I'm not really sure how I managed to walk from the curb to the front of Claire's apartment building. It was 3 o'clock in the afternoon in Vancouver, and the sky was a very heavy, dull gray color, while snowflakes slowly drifted down. I found a bench near the entrance and sat on it, just staring at nothing for a while. After some time, I pulled out my phone and tried to call Claire. She didn't pick up. The call went straight to her voicemail. A moment later, she sent me a text message that just said, "Busy, can't talk." I don't know exactly when it began, but for a long time now, Claire's responses to me always seemed to be some variation of, "I'm busy." It had gotten so bad that I found it difficult to even remember the 18-year-old version of Claire, the one who always seemed to have endless time for me. I opened our text message history and started scrolling up, going back through years of conversation, until I finally reached the very beginning. Back then, Claire loved talking to me. If you looked at a full page of our old texts, most of the messages were from her. She would send me pictures of food she was trying from a street vendor, or a song she liked that she heard during the day, or a cat she spotted in the park late at night. After sending them, she would just wait for me to see them and reply. I clearly remember one time when I was away on a business trip for a whole month. On my way back, I had a 5-hour layover in New York. When Claire found out about it, she got on the subway and rode for an hour and a half, all the way from her side of town, just to come to the airport. She sat with me in the airport lounge for 3 hours, and then she had to take the hour-and-a-half subway ride all the way back home. Her final exams were scheduled for the very next day, and I had told her not to bother making such a long trip. She pushed me against a wall and kissed me, whispering very intensely. "No way. I haven't seen you in 24 days. That feels like 72 autumns. It's been way too long. I was scared you might forget what I look like." The Claire I knew back then was just so full of passion. It was hard to believe that someone who was so warm and intense could one day become so cold. The snow was starting to fall much harder. I looked up at her window, which had a light on, and I decided I would try to call her one last time. But just before I could dial her number, I saw her. She was coming downstairs, still wearing her pajamas, to let someone into the building. I stood up from the bench without even thinking about it. I watched as a young man in a black down jacket jogged up to the door. Claire immediately grabbed the man's hands and started rubbing them between her own, as if to warm them up. Then she pulled him into a hug, before leading him inside the building. Snow began to pile up on my shoulders. My hands were shaking again as I took a cigarette out of my pocket and lit it. As I inhaled the smoke, I suddenly remembered something. 3 years ago, on a winter day that felt just like this one, Claire had held me in her arms, in that exact same way. That was the year my grandmother passed away. My parents had gotten divorced many years earlier and had both started new families, so my grandmother was the one who had raised me. On the day of her burial, my parents and my various aunts and uncles all seemed to let out a collective sigh of relief, as if a heavy burden had finally been lifted from them. I was the only one left standing by myself in the heavy snow in front of my grandmother's grave. The meal after the funeral was loud and jarring, with music playing. The world felt so full of people, and yet I felt completely alone, with no one to turn to. I don't know how long I stood there in the cold, but eventually I felt a warm hug from behind that shielded me from the wind and snow. I heard Claire's voice whisper in my ear. She said, "You still have me." The tears that I had been fighting to hold back finally started to fall. At that time, I truly believed that a young woman's embrace was a sign of a true and honest heart. It's only now that I realize in this entire story, I was the only one who ever really took our relationship seriously. After I finished smoking 3 cigarettes, I finally felt like I had gathered my thoughts. I am 5 years older than Claire, and when I was dating someone younger, I always felt I had to act like I was invincible and strong. I was very used to being the one who solved her problems. I was used to being the person she relied on. I was used to taking all the difficult things onto my own shoulders. So seeing as this breakup had been causing her so much stress for so long, I decided that I would be the one to solve this last problem for her. This would be the last kind gesture I could offer to the woman I had loved. I took my phone out and dialed her number for the 3rd time. This time, Claire finally answered, and her voice was full of annoyance. "I already told you, I'm in a team meeting." I cut her off, speaking as gently as I could. "Claire, let's break up." There was a pause on the line, and then she let out a sudden, cold laugh. "Mark, since when did you start playing these kinds of childish games? This whole dramatic breakup thing? I don't know what's wrong with you today, but I'm genuinely busy, and I am not in the mood to deal with this." My voice was shaking a little from the cold. "Claire, this is a decision I've thought about for a long time. From now on, you're free." Claire was quiet for another moment, and then her voice got louder. "Fine. You're the one who said it. Don't you dare regret this." I had thought, or maybe hoped, that she would at least try to ask me to stay. I sighed, feeling defeated. "Okay, the things you left at my apartment," I started to say, but before I could finish my sentence, she hung up on me. I held the phone in my hand, a bitter smile forming on my face. She couldn't even stand to listen to me for one more sentence. We still had some shared financial assets that needed to be divided, but I decided it didn't matter right now. I would just have my attorney, Mr. Harrison, get in touch with her later. I would make sure she received a fair share of everything. And checked, watch. I had been waiting outside her building for 4 hours. The snow was finally starting to lighten up. I decided it was time for me to leave. I bought a ticket and flew directly back to New York. It was another 24-hour trip. I started to develop a fever during the flight. By the time I got off the plane in New York, my vision suddenly went black, and I collapsed right there on the jet bridge. When I woke up, I found myself in a hospital room. My childhood friend, Alex, was sitting in a chair next to my bed, holding a thermometer. "What are you doing here?" I asked, rubbing my head. "You think I wanted to be here?" Alex scoffed. "The airport staff looked through your recent calls, and I was the only person who actually answered their phone." I was quiet for a moment, then just said, "Thanks." Alex held up my boarding pass, his voice full of sarcasm. "Wow, flying for over 50 hours, round trip to Vancouver during the busiest travel week. Mark, you must really be in love with Claire. Though, from the looks of it, your girlfriend doesn't seem to feel the same way." Alex's words were always sharp, but on this particular day, I was just too tired, both physically and emotionally, to get into an argument with him. I cut him off. "We broke up." "Well, it's always true that the one who is loved gets to be careless." "Wait, what did you just say? You broke up?" Alex's eyes went wide, showing his complete disbelief. I sighed and nodded. "She dumped you?" Alex asked, raising an eyebrow. I nodded, but then I shook my head. Alex looked confused. "What is that supposed to mean? Who broke up with whom?" I told him. "I initiated it." The second I said that, I'm pretty sure I saw Alex trying to hide a smile. Even though he had never liked Claire, as my best friend, that look of finding joy in my misery was a little too obvious. I gave him a weak punch on the arm. "I just got dumped. The least you could do is pretend to be sympathetic." "How do you want me to comfort you? You want a shoulder to cry on?" Alex pulled me into a very exaggerated, awkward hug. I couldn't help but punch him again. "No thanks. Just go get me something to eat." "Why buy food? Now that you're awake, we're going home. I'm in a surprisingly good mood today, so I'll cook for you myself." Alex drove me back to my apartment. He helped me get settled on the couch, threw a blanket at me, and then walked into my kitchen as if he lived there. This was the apartment I had purchased after I made my first significant amount of money in the futures market, using the seed money my dad gave me when I turned 18. Because the apartment was close to our college campus, Alex was always staying over. Eventually, I just gave him his own room. Alex's family owned a large chain of restaurants in the city, but his personal passion was cooking himself. Because of that, I was always happy to have him stay. But after I started dating Claire, Alex never came by anymore. Now, as I watched him busy in my kitchen, I felt a strange sense of familiarity, like I was seeing something from a long time ago. A few minutes later, Alex came out holding a bowl of noodles with a fried egg on top. "I couldn't find many ingredients in your fridge. This will have to be enough for tonight. Tomorrow I'll have some groceries delivered, and I can make you some congee." I looked at Alex, who seemed to be making himself comfortable for a long stay, and I raised an eyebrow skeptically. He replied as if it were the most normal thing in the world. "It's too late for me to go home now. My old man will just start nagging me about something. It's just better if I crash here for the night. Plus, this way I can look after you." I nodded. "Fine. Your room has always been here for you, anyway." Alex's eyes seemed to light up. He happily went to his room and changed into an old set of pajamas he had left there years ago. I went to my own room to get some rest. The bedsheets still had the faint smell of Terre de Hermès. It was Claire's favorite cologne. She used to spray it on the bedding, in the closet, and even on the curtains. I remember teasing her once about using expensive cologne as if it were an air freshener. She had replied, "I want to fill your whole space with this scent, so you'll think of me every single time you smell it." Later, as she started to grow more distant from me, she forgot to spray it anymore. But by that point, I had actually grown to like the scent, so I started spraying it myself. The scent was just like Claire. It had shown up in my life with a lot of force, aggressively taking over my heart, only to slowly fade away over time. I was scrolling through my phone before trying to sleep when a notification appeared. "Could all my brothers and sisters passing by please pause to congratulate me? I got together with my crush today." The post included a picture, a mirror selfie of Claire and the young man from her apartment building. In the photo, Claire was looking down, appearing somewhat distant and cool. The man was flashing a peace sign at the camera, smiling brightly. The comments underneath the picture were all saying what a perfect couple they looked like. "Whoa, bro, you managed to land such a stunning girl. You're a legend. You two should seriously just become models right now. The cool goddess and the sunshine boy, I'm kind of shipping this." I always knew that Claire was beautiful. She was the kind of beautiful that would stand out in any crowd, even when she was wearing cheap, simple clothes. The years had helped smooth away her rough edges, and the comfortable life I had been able to provide for her had added a layer of elegance. Now, she really did look like a cool, aloof goddess. I kept scrolling through the comments. The man replied to one of them. "She's not just beautiful, she's a total brainiac." The high-frequency trading model she wrote just for fun had a 50% profit in simulations this year. Even the professor who consults for our company said she's a genius. The man's proud and happy tone left a sour taste in my mouth. It was very easy to fall for Claire. Not many people could resist someone who was so beautiful and also so incredibly smart. Her humble background only made her more appealing. It made her seem like the perfect, tragic, beautiful, and strong main character from a movie. When a person like that chases you with so much passion and determination, it's very hard to stay rational and not fall in love with them. Although I had helped her a lot over the years, the fact that she had become a key member of her company's team at such a young age, and was even sent to manage the Canadian branch, was proof of her own hard work and intelligence. On her 20th birthday, I gave her a necklace as a gift. Her eyes lit up when she saw it, and she told me, "Mark, just wait for me a little longer. It won't be long. I'll make lots and lots of money and I'll buy you more expensive, better gifts." I never doubted that she would. I just didn't expect her to accomplish it in only 5 years. It was just unfortunate that the rose I had spent so much time and effort cultivating was now blooming for someone else. The first thing I did after my fever finally broke was get in touch with my attorney, Mr. Harrison. We had some joint equity investments that needed to be divided. In addition, there was my waterfront condo. She had paid for all the renovations and the furniture inside. We had originally made plans to move into that condo together. Now it seemed clear she wouldn't be moving in at all. I planned to give her double the cash value of what she had spent on the renovations. After all, she had put a significant amount of effort into it. Alex said he wasn't very busy lately, and sat down next to me to help me review the legal agreement. After reading it for a while, he pursed his lips. "You're giving her way too much. Are you still not over her?" I shook my head. "Giving her more money up front just means we won't have to argue back and forth about the amount later. It reduces the need for any unnecessary meetings." When he heard that, Alex, for some reason, seemed to brighten up again. He nodded enthusiastically. "You're right. We don't do messy breakups." Then, as if he were presenting me with a great treasure, he handed me a milk tart that was in his hand. "It's a copycat of that super trendy one. I just took it out of the oven." My mind was completely focused on the legal document, so I just leaned over and took a bite directly from his hand. I didn't even notice that he ate the other half of the tart himself. It was very late by the time I finished confirming all the details with Mr. Harrison. I went to the bathroom to take a shower before heading to bed, but I heard someone talking in the living room. I walked out, drying my hair with a towel. "Alex, who are you talking to so late at—" I stopped in the middle of my sentence when I saw Claire. She was dressed in a wool coat and was standing by the door, looking like she had just been through a terrible storm. Claire's face was dark. As if to make the situation worse, Alex leaned casually against the kitchen island holding a glass of water, raising an eyebrow at me. "Mark, your ex-girlfriend seems to have something she wants to discuss with you." He put a very heavy emphasis on the words, ex-girlfriend. She started to walk quickly toward me, but Alex immediately stepped in front of me, blocking her path. Claire hissed through her teeth, "Move." Alex spoke in a very nonchalant tone. "Ma'am, if you take one more step, I'm calling the police for trespassing." You shouldn't let his casual attitude fool you. Alex has a 9th-degree black belt in Taekwondo. Claire's gaze shot past Alex's shoulder and landed coldly on me. "So, is this the reason you broke up with me?" I was very confused. Why was Claire acting like she was here to confront me about something? I thought she couldn't wait to never see me again. Why would she fly all the way back from Vancouver? Did something happen over there? Thinking about this, I asked her, "Why are you back?" The moment the words left my mouth, I knew it sounded wrong. It sounded like Alex and I had something going on, and she had just caught us. Sure enough, Claire let out a cold laugh. "If I hadn't come back, how would I have found out about you two and your little secret? No wonder you were in such a hurry to break up with me. You had already found someone new." I sighed and patted Alex's shoulder. "Alex, step aside for a minute. I need to talk to her." Alex glanced at Claire, then walked over and draped the blanket from the couch over my shoulders. "Put this on. You're still not completely over your cold." With that, he put on his headphones and went back to his room. I poured a cup of hot water for Claire. "Sit down." Claire sat on the sofa opposite me. We sat there in silence for a long time, and neither of us said anything. Finally, I couldn't stand the silence anymore. "Claire, you came back so suddenly. Did something happen in Canada?" Claire shot back. "What, were you hoping something bad happened to me?" I sighed and stood up. "If you're going to talk to me with this kind of attitude, then we can just do this another day." "No other day." Claire grabbed my wrist. Her hand was so hot it felt like it was burning my skin. "We're talking now. Let's talk about when you and Alex got together. Have you slept together? In the bedroom? Or on this couch?" Slap! I backhanded her across the face. No matter how much self-control I usually have, I couldn't tolerate her malicious accusations, one after another. Besides, she was the one who had cheated. What right did she have to come here and turn this around on me? Claire's head snapped to the side. She licked the corner of her mouth, and her anger turned into a twisted smile. "Mark, you still have the strength to hit me. I guess Alex isn't doing his job." "Right." Her words were getting more and more vulgar. My hands were shaking with rage. "Enough, Claire. There is nothing going on between me and Alex. In this relationship, I can honestly say that I have never wronged you. What about you? Can you say you haven't done anything to hurt me?" Claire froze for a second, then quickly retorted, "Haven't I been good enough to you? I started dating you when I was 20. I provided you with emotional support. I was there for you whenever you needed me. I did everything you said. My studies, my career. I followed the exact path you laid out for me. You throw a tantrum and I fly back from Canada for you. What more do you want from me? Claire was incredibly smart. She managed to reframe her calculated pursuit of me as providing emotional support. She twisted the careful planning I did to help her with her education and career into her just being obedient to me. She called her own coldness and distance my tantrum. She twisted every single fact, downplaying her own actions and completely reversing the truth. If I hadn't seen her Reddit post, and if I really had just been throwing a childish tantrum, maybe I would have actually been convinced by her words. Maybe I would have even felt sorry for her for flying all this way just to calm me down. But the snow in Vancouver that day was so heavy. I stood there until I was frozen to the bone. Two voices were fighting in my head. One voice told me to wait a little longer. The other voice told me to just let it go. I looked at our text history. It was filled with messages sent by me. The last one was still there. Text me when you get home. I'm worried your fever will get worse and no one will be there to take care of you. But I never received a reply. That's why I was so worried that I booked a flight that very night. I flew thousands of miles just to make sure she was okay. I rushed to her building. A dim, warm light was on in her window. During the first hour I stood there in the snow, I told myself that if she just answered my call, I would pretend I didn't know anything. But she declined my call and sent a text saying she was busy. During the second hour, I stood in the snow. I told myself that as soon as she was done with her work, if she just called me back, I would tell her I was waiting downstairs. During the third hour, I stood in the snow. I told myself that I should be proactive, talk to her, and try to win her back. And then, I saw the young man in the black jacket. During the fourth hour, I stood in the snow. My hands and feet slowly went numb. The intense love that had once filled my chest gradually froze into solid ice. One gentle poke, and it would have shattered all over the ground. And so, I told myself to just let it go. Part on good terms. I just never expected Claire to be the one to come and attack me. And now she was standing here asking me, "What more do you want from me?" Looking at the aggressive woman in front of me, I wanted to ask her the exact same thing. What more did she want from me? After a long pause, I sighed and lowered my gaze. "Claire, I saw the post." "What put—" Claire stopped in the middle of the word. Her face went completely pale. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. I laughed at myself and finished the sentence I hadn't been able to say to her that day. "Claire, we were together for 7 years. I know you better than you think you do. You thought you were hiding your impatience so well, but you don't realize how sensitive a lover's heart is. Sometimes I wonder, how did the algorithm get it so right? How did it manage to recommend your burner account to me? It didn't even give me a chance to lie to myself. Do you know what hurt me the most about that post? It wasn't that your feelings for me changed. It was that you thought if you broke up with me, I would retaliate against you. You still don't know me at all. Claire, while it's true I helped you over the years, you don't need to sell yourself short. You are such a dazzling person. That's why I noticed you in the crowd all those years ago. Even without my help, you would have shined just as brightly. Even if you weren't my partner, I would still admire you and be willing to mentor you. The day I told you we were breaking up, I was actually standing right downstairs. I stared at the light in your window for 4 hours. In those 4 hours, all I could think about were the good times we had. I believe you put your heart into this relationship too, so I never thought of retaliating against you. And I never would. I saw the boy. He seems like a nice kid. I hope you treat him well. Thank you for the 7 years you gave me. I wish you all the best in the future." After I finished speaking, Claire was silent for a very long time. Then she took a deep breath and spoke, trying to sound casual. "Okay, it's good we cleared the air. Looks like I was overthinking things. I didn't expect you to be so reasonable. Well then, thank you for taking care of me all these years. In the future..." For some reason, I thought I heard a tremor in her voice. "In the future, can we still be friends?" I shook my head gently but firmly, rejecting her offer. "Why?" Claire asked. "Didn't you just say you don't resent me?" I replied softly. "Claire, when you've truly loved someone, you can't go back to being just friends. It's getting late, and I don't have a spare room, so I won't ask you to stay." Claire's figure looked lost and dejected as she left. On her way out, she even tripped on the small stool by the door. Just as the door was slowly closing, Claire suddenly turned back and looked at me. Maybe I was mistaken, but her eyes looked red. I closed the door, and as I turned around, I almost bumped right into Alex. "Alex, what are you doing?" Alex huffed. "Just seeing how long you were going to stare after her." I gave him a light kick. "Keep talking nonsense and you can get out too." Alex scurried into the kitchen and pulled a slice of lemon cheesecake from the fridge. "Try this. I made it this afternoon. I stole the recipe from one of my family's Michelin star chefs." I glanced at the time. It was 11 p.m. "You want me to eat sweets at this hour?" I asked, my eyes wide. Alex clicked his tongue. "Seriously? You're a grown man. Are you worried about gaining weight?" He looked me up and down. "If you ask me, you could stand to gain a few pounds. It's not about getting fat. I'm worried about my cholesterol. It's fine. Just have a little. Sweets help produce dopamine." Alex shoved the spoon into my hand. "You looked like you were about to cry a minute ago." This idiot. I hadn't been planning on crying at all, but his attempt at emotional manipulation actually made my nose sting. I fiercely scooped up a spoonful of cheesecake and shoved it in my mouth. Alex watched me the whole time with a grin. "Is it good? You're making me your taste tester without trying it yourself?" "This isn't being a taste tester. This is called having confidence in my craft." I wanted to say something snarky in return, but the cake was actually really good. And with Alex here joking around, I didn't feel quite as miserable. I nodded. "Yeah, it's really good." "Really?" Alex raised an eyebrow. "Let me try." With that, he took my wrist, and using my spoon, took a bite. Mr. Harrison couldn't get a hold of Claire, so the money I had wanted to give her remained with me. I stopped worrying about it. I had done everything I could. I never expected to see a follow-up to that original Reddit post. First, Claire pinned a comment at the top of her post. "Update. We broke up. Can't believe how easy it was." I put my head in my hands and sighed. Her gloating tone was just asking for trouble. I watched as she argued with people in the comments, line by line, like a child. It was as if she had to prove to everyone that her decision to leave me was the right one. The post got more and more popular, and more people saw it. Someone even tentatively forwarded it to me, saying, "LOL, this story sounds a lot like yours." I sighed and shook my head, feeling like Claire had been possessed by someone else. Where had all her usual intelligence and rationality gone? I was worried about her getting doxxed, so I thought about it and sent Claire a text message. "You should delete that post." Claire replied almost instantly. "Don't tell me what to do." Seeing that exclamation point, I felt like I was looking at the 20-something-year-old Claire who loved to argue with me. Only this time, who was she arguing with? Before I could figure it out, Alex came out of the kitchen with a sizzling pot of clay pot rice. "Quick, quick, get me a trivet." Alex lifted the lid, and a cloud of steam billowed up. Bright red sausage lay on top of glistening white rice, and bits of green vegetables were scattered throughout. Alex slowly removed the lid and poured a specially mixed sauce over everything. He flipped, stirred, and then served a bowl in front of me. He grinned. "Dinner's ready." In the time since I'd broken up with Claire, Alex had been feeding me a new dish every single day. He'd actually managed to make me gain 7 pounds. I asked him while I was eating, "Aren't you busy lately? You're always here." "What? Are you ready to kick me to the curb now that I've served my purpose?" Alex's chopsticks paused, and he raised an eyebrow at me. "Don't be ridiculous. I'm just concerned about you. I don't want to mess up your work. I know you're worried about me, but I'm really okay now." Alex slowly chewed a piece of crispy rice. His eyes lowered as he said casually, "My old man is handling the restaurant inspections himself lately. My focus is on the new location downtown. Your place is close to the new spot, so it's convenient for me to stay here. I might have to impose on you for a while longer." "Alex, please stop using the word impose. Stay as long as you want." "Seriously?" Alex glanced up. "Oh? So I can stay for a lifetime?" Here we go again. Alex was a great guy in every way, but sometimes, when he was in a certain mood, he liked to test our friendship. For example, when I once introduced him to Claire as my best friend, Alex shot back, "So if your best friend and your girlfriend get into a fight, who do you side with?" "The person who's right?" Alex scoffed. "Wrong answer. A real best friend would never put you in that position in the first place. Your answer proves you don't know me and you don't trust me." I thought he was just joking and punched his arm. "You've been reading too many dramatic novels. You should see your face right now." Who knew he'd actually get mad? I had to part with a bottle of my treasured whiskey to calm him down. So, this time, I answered quickly, "No problem. As long as your future husband agrees, I'd be thrilled. With cooking skills like yours, I'd even be willing to pay you to be my roommate for life." Alex was clearly pleased. "Deal. Don't forget what you said today." A couple of days later, the company's European branch landed a huge project, and I was sent over to help out for 2 months. It all happened so fast that I didn't even have time to tell Alex in person. I just sent him a text saying I was going to Paris for work. On my 3rd day in Europe, I got a call from him. "I'm at Charles de Gaulle Airport right now. What's your address? I'll grab a cab." "Wait there. I'll come get you." After getting Alex into the car, I asked him, "What are you doing in Paris?" "My dad wants to open a French restaurant. I'm here to do some research." I was silent for a moment, then asked, "Where's your hotel?" Alex said, "I haven't booked one yet. Is your place big enough? Maybe I could just crash with you." I pulled the car over to the side of the road. Alex leaned forward and looked around. "Isn't this a museum? You live here?" I snorted. "Stop pretending." Alex swallowed hard. "What do you mean?" I had a ridiculous suspicion, but it seemed so unlikely. But my gut told me I wasn't wrong. I decided to just ask him directly. "Are you in love with me?" Otherwise, I couldn't explain why he'd been crashing at my place for a month, watching over me every day, cooking for me, and now he'd followed me all the way to Paris. Even for a best friend, this was way over the top. Alex froze for a second, then nodded, as if a huge weight had been lifted off his shoulders. "I was actually stressing about how to tell you. Since you figured it out, I won't hide it anymore. You're right. I'm pursuing you." In a foreign country, I threw myself completely into my work. When you're truly busy, all that drama about love and relationships starts to feel less important. The next time I heard about Claire was when a friend forwarded me a PDF. "Mark, it looks like someone reported Claire to your company." I opened the PDF and saw it was supposedly written by the boy in the black down jacket. He started by accusing Claire of being a scammer who used him for money and sex, and who played with his emotions. I thought the main point would be about how Claire deceived him, what kind of damages he suffered, or what he wanted as compensation. But the long sections of screenshots that followed were all of my old chat records with Claire, along with all sorts of our photos together. The more I read, the more I felt something was off. On the surface, the boy seemed to be attacking Claire, but in reality, he was constantly writing about my past with her. He even ended the document with the line, "Anyway, I only dated her for 3 days. She didn't scam me out of any money or sex. I even got a Louis Vuitton bag out of it, but I hope she can figure out her own feelings and stop hurting people." I checked the online chatter, and public opinion was almost unanimously sympathetic to me. Even stranger, Claire started responding to people from her main account. She detailed all the good things she had done for me, admitting her motives were impure, but insisting she never wronged me and that people had no right to judge her. One top-rated reply said, "We feel sorry for his 7 years, but your every word is still trying to prove you love him." I felt this whole situation was getting weirder and weirder, so I found the boy's account on Instagram and sent him a private message. The boy added me as a friend almost immediately. The first thing he said to me was, "I didn't write that PDF." From the boy, I heard a different version of the story. He said Claire was his crush. He pursued her for a month, and she finally agreed to try dating him. But on the 3rd day of their relationship, Claire confessed that she was still in love with her ex-boyfriend. The boy said he was shocked at the time, but luckily his feelings for Claire weren't that deep. It was more like admiration. He actually found her kind of boring to date. She was always either reading research papers or coding. Plus, when they broke up, Claire gave him a luxury bag, so he let it go. He thought they had parted on good terms. Who knew that half a month later, Claire would suddenly ask him to spread a PDF under his name? The boy said, "I kind of get what she was trying to do. She's using this extreme method to show the world the love between you two, and she's trying to win you back with it. That's why the PDF reads so strangely. It's almost like a memoir of your love story, and the parts about you are almost all positive. By letting netizens attack her, she feels like she's atoning for her sins while also trying to win your sympathy. Of course, I don't really get the love-hate drama you people have, but I think she probably underestimated her feelings for you. If you can, I think you should talk to her." The PDF situation was really bothering me. I didn't like my personal life being laid bare online for everyone to comment on. Just as I was about to contact Claire to talk, I got a call from her. She said, "I'm in Paris. I want to see you." It had only been a little over a month since I'd last seen Claire, but when we met again at a corner cafe, I almost didn't recognize her. She had lost a lot of weight and had dark circles under her eyes. The trench coat she was wrapped in seemed to swallow her whole. I ordered her a hot chocolate with an extra pump of syrup. Claire sat silently across from me, so still she could have been a stone monument. I asked her, "Did you ask me here just to sit in silence?" Claire's eyes were downcast, her fingers tapping nervously against her cup. It was a small habit she had when she was nervous. Since she wasn't talking, I had to start. "Have you looked over the agreement from the lawyer? If there are no issues, please sign it soon." Claire probably didn't expect me to ask about that first. She said, "I don't need the money. You don't have to give it to me." I nodded. "That's fine too. I'll have him draw up a new agreement where you gift the value of the renovations to me, but the equity still needs to be divided clearly." Claire asked softly, "Do we have to be so clear-cut about everything?" I countered, "Isn't this what you wanted? A clean break, no strings attached." Claire suddenly covered her eyes. "Mark, if I said I regret it, could you forgive me?" Is that why you spread that PDF? To try and dissect your feelings for me in front of the whole world? Claire's face went pale. You know everything? I smiled knowingly. I was your partner for 7 years after all. But Claire, you were with me for 7 years, and you still don't know me. Once I make a decision, I don't change my mind. So delete the posts, deactivate the accounts, and end this whole farce. Claire suddenly spoke. Mark, since you sat down, you haven't once asked me how I've been. I raised an eyebrow. Isn't it obvious? Whether you're regretting it, feeling remorseful, or wasting away from heartbreak, that's your business. If you care even a little about the impression you've left on me, then please stay out of my world. Don't bother me anymore. Claire's tears fell silently, one drop after another, rolling down her cheeks like a quiet rain. Her eyes were red and pleading as she looked at me, her voice choked with sobs. Can't you just give me one more chance? I asked her calmly. Can you turn back time to the moment before I saw that post? Claire finally buried her face in her hands, and in the bustling corner cafe, began to sob uncontrollably. I caught another fever on the flight back to New York from Paris. At least this time, I was conscious. I dragged my sick body into a cab and ordered some fever medicine for delivery on the way home. 2 hours later, I opened my door. A warm, dim light spilled out. On the table was a steaming pot of congee and a few small side dishes. Alex skillfully took my luggage. I saw the medicine delivery, so I figured you wouldn't have much of an appetite. I quickly made you some plain congee. Alex pulled me over to a chair and pushed the perfectly warm bowl in front of me. He pointed to the small dishes of pickles. Try these. I just made them. I lowered my head and silently took a spoonful of congee, then a bite of pickles. Suddenly, my eyes stung. How could you? You're wondering why my pickles taste just like Grandma's, aren't you? She's the one who taught me. The grandma Alex was talking about was actually my grandma. When Alex was a kid, his parents were busy making money and left him with his grandparents in our old neighborhood. His grandfather's house was right next to my grandma's. His grandpa was a terrible cook, so Alex was always at my place for meals. Eventually, Alex's dad just gave my grandma money to cook for him too. So for a long time, Alex and I ate all our meals together. Our favorite thing was Grandma's homemade pickles. Later, Grandma got sick. Alex and I went to see her. By then, her dementia was bad, and she didn't recognize people very well. She asked me, "Have you seen Mark and Alex? I made a new batch of pickled greens and turnips. Mark's always been so skinny. He won't eat properly without his pickles. If you see him, tell him to come home early. Alex, too. He forgets to come home when he's out playing." Then she muttered to herself, "If this old woman passes, there'll be no one to make pickles. What will Mark do if he doesn't eat properly?" I was on the verge of tears. Alex comforted me while taking Grandma's hand. "That's easy, Grandma. Just tell me your secret recipe. From now on, I'll watch over Mark and make sure he eats well." I thought he was just saying it to comfort her, but I never knew he actually went and learned. Alex boasted proudly, "Not only did I learn, I brought her pickling jar back with me. I've been keeping the brine alive with water ever since." Maybe being sick just makes you sentimental, or maybe I just missed my grandma. In any case, my eyes suddenly reddened. Alex started pacing anxiously. "Hey, what are you crying for? Are you not feeling well? Is the food bad? Wait, do you miss Grandma? Okay, after you take your medicine and get some sleep, if your fever's gone tomorrow, I'll take you to visit her grave. Don't cry, it's all my fault. I was so focused on showing off that I forgot how close you were to her. How about you stop eating this? I'll make you something else." Watching Alex panic, I suddenly found it a little funny. What is love? Love is just 3 meals a day, 4 seasons a year. My family ties have always been weak. In my 32 years, people have come and gone. In the end, only Alex remained. Alex had already stood up to go to the kitchen to make something else. I grabbed his arm. Alex, maybe we should give it a try. Alex didn't get it at first. Try what? Then his eyes lit up. Are you saying... Looking at his face, I nodded. I'm saying you're such a good cook, I'd like to try dating you. Alex's face turned red. My mom was right. The way to a man's heart really is through his stomach. He rubbed his hands together, pacing around the room. If you weren't sick right now, I'd cook you a massive feast. I let out a small laugh. A feast won't be necessary. You haven't eaten yet, have you? Sit down and have some with me. Alex sat down with a grin, his eyes never leaving my face. Even as familiar as we were, his stare was making me a little unnerved. I tapped the table. You're not hungry? Alex shook his head. You're a feast for the eyes. I rolled my eyes at him. I'm sick. Don't even think about taking advantage of me. Alex quickly waved his hands. What are you thinking? I'm not that kind of animal. After dinner and medicine, I got into bed. Alex tucked me in, but lingered, not leaving. I had to open my eyes. What is it now? Alex looked a little embarrassed. I just want to look at you. I laughed. You haven't gotten tired of looking at me after more than 20 years? Alex shook his head. A lifetime wouldn't be enough. Then he suddenly leaned in and gently kissed my forehead. I suddenly remembered an afternoon many years ago. The classroom fan whirred overhead, the cicadas outside chirping louder and louder. Alex was asleep at his desk. Sunlight fell on his face. I pretended to casually turn my head, and secretly, I had placed a kiss in his hair. The dream I'd lost back when I was just a boy had finally come true. What was lost was found again. Everything had come full circle.